The next thing I wanted to discuss with you, it's a huge thing. It's a major spoiler. So,
Okay.
and it
All right.
involves Stannis the Manus himself. So, spoiler warning to the audience and spoiler warning to you, Preston. Shall I continue?
Okay. All right. Let's do it. Prepare to
So,
shock me.
well, not much of not that much of a shock, but George does confirm in the book that Stannis does indeed burn his daughter in, I believe, Winds of Winter.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. We got that. That was from a an after. That was behind the episodes. Dan and Dave revealed this.
Wait, really?
Yeah. Yeah. It was a huge deal. It was a huge deal that it was in the behind the scenes thing afterwards, and
I don't remember this. What?
people got really mad because like the people that run Westeros.org, like she like
Oh,
started, got to Twitter and started like railing, and you're just like, oh God, it
oh
wouldn't really
yeah,
go.
that I remember. Like the woman from Westeros.org, she went on Twitter and I think she spoiled.
Yeah, she spoiled some things, and she started using some words that we no longer use for those with mental challenges.
Hmm, I did not know that
Yes.
either. But
Yeah.
I was trying to shock you with with this whole thing, but you
No,
shocked.
I knew about that. I knew about that one.
I don't remember
I
this,
knew,
but
yeah.
well, Dave and Dan said it. I mean,
Yeah.
whatever, that was years ago, but now George himself is confirming that Stannis does indeed burn his daughter. I think a part of the fandom was holding out that maybe George might have changed this, and then maybe Dave
Now
and
the
Dan were
fact
like,
that
eh?
Stannis does it might be a spoiler. They reveal that Shireen is burned.
Oh,
And so, I mean, keep in mind, like currently at the wall, Shireen is with Melisandre and her mother. So you could say like, oh, maybe they burned her. If you're, well, because Stannis is 3 weeks away, about to be in a
hmm.
battle. If you say that Stannis burns her, that's a bit more because that means Stannis survives the Battle of Ice, makes it back to his daughter, and then chooses to burn her.
We also briefly discussed the whole Stannis Battle of Ice because you mentioned I never knew about this. Apparently, there was a brief moment where George Martin was on the John Oliver show,
Yeah.
and you could see it on screen that the battle had begun, with one of the Umbers getting his head cut off.
Yes. So there's it's what we call the Asha fragment. So there's a brief scene where George R. R. Martin was on John Oliver and he's in front of his computer, and some fans zoomed in on the computer. You can't see everything so clearly, but through the shapes of the letters and everything, people were able to put together 3 or 4 sentences, and it's very clearly from an Asha chapter where she's at the Battle of Ice at its beginning, and she sees the the first people of the Frey army coming forward, and it's Big Walder Frey because it's his armor, and then there's somebody in front of him, which is probably Hoster Frey, holding a spear with Mors Umber's head on it. So it's a little bit of a spoiler that yeah, Mors does not last long against the Frey army.
Which one is Moore's
Yeah,
Umber? It's been a minute. Is he the one who's loyal to Stannis, or he's the one that was caught by Stannis?
he's the one that's loyal to Stannis. So the Umbers are split. Horsebane is inside Winterfell with the old men, and Mors Umber, Crow's Food, is outside with the young boys, with the green boys. And so it seems that there was some sort of battle with Moors and the Green Boys against the Freys, and it seems like they died pretty quickly.
Who's the guy that Stannis captured? Was it Karstark?
So Karstark is discovered as treacherous, and so Stannis does capture. I mean, take the heads of their and capture them.
That's the one that Jon Snow sends the letter to Stannis to let him know that the Karstark guy is the treacherous one.
Right. So Cregan is at the wall, but then Arnulf Karstark is with Stannis. Yeah.
Okay, so judging by George confirming that Stannis does indeed burn Shireen, we can deduce that, just as you said, the battle doesn't go well for him, and somehow he makes it back to Castle Black. I don't think he makes it back. I think as he's trekking, I guess maybe either back to Deepwood Mod or maybe to Castle Black. I'm assuming Shireen and Selyse flee the Wall with their retainers because the chaos at the Wall with Jon Snow dying and Wun going crazy, it's no place for those two. So I'm assuming they flee the Wall, and I guess they meet up Stannis halfway with what's left of his army, and out of desperation, he burns her.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say how he would escape the situation because it's kind of set up right now that he's going to defeat the Freys, but then he seems to be downplaying the threat of Ramsay. And that, anytime somebody downplays something, you're like, oh gosh, that doesn't look good for them. So it seems like Stannis is going to win and then maybe lose to Ramsay later. But where he's going to lose to Ramsay is currently unknown. I mean, certainly the letter. So I mean, the pink letter says that Stannis is dead. So you could kind of say, oh, well, I don't know, like maybe in a panic they would burn Shireen. The fan theory, before this all even came out, people have been talking about Shireen getting burned for years. Just kind of a random theory shot in the dark. People were saying, oh, I think Melisandre's going to burn Shireen for her king's blood to resurrect Jon Snow. And this was like a random fan theory. And so it was odd that just this little portion that Shireen is going to be burned is odd that it comes true, Not that the rest of it, that, she's burned to resurrect Jon, but that she's burned.
I don't understand sacrificing someone with king's blood to resurrect someone. Wasn't king's blood used to kill people? Supposedly?
King's blood was used to get... I'm trying to think if king's blood was ever used... King's blood was used in the leeches, and then burned with the leeches in order to kill
Balon, Robb, and Joffrey.
And Joffrey.
Yeah, when they
supposedly.
captured Edric Storm.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was ever used to resurrect anybody, because when Thoros of Myr resurrects Beric, I don't think he needed to sacrifice anyone to do that.
Right, and all this stuff, I mean, king's blood, it's all about what people believe, right? I mean, I suppose king's blood is Khal Drogo is burned and he hatches the dragons in the pyre in the first book. I mean, there's a lot of different, I suppose that's a situation. So where king's blood is burned and a dragon arises. One could make that same connection that we're going to burn Shireen for her king's blood, and then much in the same way that the dragons are hatched, like Jon is reborn again or something stupid.
I think you might have a point there that Stannis does initially win the Battle of Ice, but he can't continue because the weather has gotten so bad, if we're going by what the show did, because I think it was like season 3 or season 4. It was early on in the book explains that George does indeed confirm many deaths and many of the characters' ultimate fates. One of which was the Stannis burning Shireen. The other was that Hodor will die, and his death will still have the phrase like "hold the door," but it will take on a slightly different meaning and play out a bit differently as well. That was the other major thing.
Yeah, I did hear briefly about this, that some people are like, maybe he's going to hold a pass or something. The tree that Bran is in does literally have a door. I mean, there is a door in it, and they talk about it. So it's not that can't happen, but I don't know what door he's going to be holding.
George also stresses that minor characters all have different endings as well. So even if like the major characters like Stannis and Jon Snow and Bran, we know where they'll end up. Some of the minor characters, like I don't know if I would call Victarion a minor character, but he certainly wasn't in the show, so I'll go with it. Minor characters like Victarion or even Arianne and fake Aegon, I guess they'll have different endings as well. But I do wonder if they'll be important going forward at the very end.
Yeah, that's the question. I mean, it's strange that they named Jon Aegon in the show, and you're wondering how much of the Aegon plot is merged with the Jon plot. I don't know. And then I also wonder, like, where the hell is Winds of Winter? Is George changing everything now?
I mean, I would kinda maybe change things around a bit to give people less of a feel for it, but at the same time, maybe he feels as though he can do it better than the show, and
I would
maybe
just keep, you know, honestly, if I were him, and he, you know, he would never do this, but if I were him, I would just keep Jon dead, and then the story is going to be massively different. By making that one huge change, keeping Jon dead, everything's different. Like it's a completely different story, you know.
yeah. But
And
what
then
happens in the North? Like, who's the main character of the North?
I don't know, pick somebody, have it be, you know, have him follow Shireen. You know, it doesn't matter. Like, ha, it doesn't matter. Have him follow Sansa. You know,
Have him, well, Sansa's in the Vale, so like, but
oh, in the book,
I
yeah.
guess Tormund.
Tormund, the Weeper, like the Weeper's forces or whatever. You know, it doesn't. You know, Davos is there. Rickon,
Oh
Asha,
yeah,
Theon.
Davos.
They're all in there. The North is really crowded. You
So
know, Justin Massey's got to get that sellsword army for Shireen. I mean, there's so many things you could do if you just keep Jon dead. You could still keep, you know, you could have Stannis live, have Stannis die. I don't know. It doesn't matter. You know, but there's so many possibilities on what you can do.
if the show's any indication, the sellswords leave Stannis after he burns Shireen, so we might see that in the books as well. If when Stannis word gets around that Stannis burned his own daughter, sellswords might not join the cause, or they might
Man,
leave.
but that would just take so long.
It
Like,
would.
like for him to retreat back to the wall, Justin Massey makes it all the way to Bravos, hires sellswords, comes all the way back. By the way, the mission for Justin Massey is impossible, right? He's supposed to get like 10,000 sellswords or something. Yeah, come all the way back to the wall and then have him arrive, have him burn Shireen, and then have the sellswords like ditch him. Like, I mean, it'd be so much simpler if, okay, almost everybody's dying. So just have nearly everyone, have, you know, Stannis beat the Freys, but then lose to Ramsay. Ramsay kills his dad, takes control. And then the Weeper and his thousands of wildlings have Jon make peace with the Weeper, and then he can lead his forces. You know, that would be the most streamlined that I can think of, because the Weeper has the most men, you know, in the North, period. So, but no one ever talks about the Weeper.
Well, once again, if the show's any indication, and just because we didn't see the Battle of Hardhome, I believe Hardhome had like hundreds of thousands, not hundreds, but tens of thousands of wildlings who were all destroyed by the Night King. So the Weeper may have his forces wiped out as well.
Yeah,
Maybe.
that's a probable thing, that the Weeper just gets, you know, hit by the others, and therefore now the others are like 100,000 strong.